globalists won't.
Is we're not.
Bridging the gap between communities and the nation. A voice for the people. The Mildred Gaddis Show is now live on 105.9 KISS.
Here's an inspirational moment from Pastor Marvin L. Winans of Perfecting Church.
1 Peter 3:12. For the eyes of the Lord are over the righteous, and his ears are open unto their prayers. But the face of the Lord is against them that do evil. More comforting words have never been spoken. I will admit that sometimes it looks as if evil is winning, that the schemers and the unscrupulous are getting over, while those who are integral are paying a greater price. So why not join the hordes of those that are taking the shortcuts of life? Because the eyes of the Lord are over the righteous. Be comforted in knowing that his ears are open to your slightest whimper. God sees, he hears, and he cares. And he has answered.
You've just heard the inspirational moment from Pastor Marvin L. Winans of Perfecting Church on the Mildred Gaddis Show.
I still believe in marriages made in heaven, and that love will conquer all. I've been hurt, but not deceived. Regardless to what has happened, I still believe. Still believe.
The Mildred Gaddis Show is now live on 105.9 KISS.
Good Sunday morning, Detroit. It is Sunday, June 12th, and a couple of seconds behind 8 o'clock. Right now, it's 68 degrees in the Motor City. I'm Mildred Gaddis, and it is just a pleasure to be here with you this Sunday. Marcus D. Reed, he wants you to know there's a D between Marcus and Reed, producing the show this morning with tremendous energy. So I'm trying to keep up with him this morning. 313-568-1059 is the number, and we encourage you to call in and share your opinions about our content. Well, we're going to kick it off this morning. We're going to talk about the Republicans and the Democrats this morning. First of all, the Republican Party seems to be here in Michigan losing its way. Or is it losing its way? We're going to talk about what's going on in that gubernatorial race, with one of the candidates being charged with a few federal misdemeanors. We're going to talk with Attorney Todd Perkins about the arrest of the white police officer who's charged with murdering Patrick Leola. The question is, he's being charged with second-degree murder. Why not first? That's what we really want to know. And also, and I'm sure you've heard it by now, some folks are pumping $1 million into Janice Winfrey's challenge to Rashida Tlaib. How far do you think that's going to go? We're going to talk about that and some other very, very important issues concerning you this morning. Let's kick it off this morning. Just saying good morning to our Facebook Live family. Renard Stewart, Norbert Swilly, good morning to you. Ponce de Clay, we're happy to have you joining us as well. Let's go to, I want to share this with you. First of all, it must be nice to be able to dump $7 million into your own campaign, and it looks like you're not going to even be on the ballot. That's the case with Perry Johnson. Former Detroit Police Chief James Craig says he is still in the game.
Craig and Oakland County businessman, the self-proclaimed quality guru Perry Johnson. Of course, both of them are still running for the GOP nomination for governor. And you may recall late last month, both were also disqualified from the August primary after a discovery of forged petition signatures. We'll get to all of that in a moment. But first, Chief Craig, I understand you have an announcement you'd like to make exclusively here on Fox 2.
Well, I appreciate that. And, Roop, let me just say, giving up. Me, Barry, and guess what? Right in. There's so many people that have reached out through my campaign and said, Chief, you're a fighter. Don't give up. Continue to fight. We need you to do what you're doing. And guess what? I'm going to.
Can the next governor of the state of Michigan be someone who's a write-in candidate, Perry?
I think it's very difficult, practically speaking. People have a hard time remembering the name. You take a look, although it happened in the city, it's a much smaller universe. We have roughly 9.5, 10 million people in the state. So that's a lot of people to cover.
Yes.
And it makes it very, very difficult. I think you have to get on the ballot. That's why I filed in the court, federal court. And it's very interesting that we had the judge set the trial for the 14th. The only issue we have is that they want to start printing the ballots tomorrow. And we asked for a stay. So I'm hoping the judge grants that stay, because at the hearing before, they said there's not enough paper to print another set of ballots. So they would come back and say, yes, you should be on the ballot, but we don't have any paper for you.
You think you have a fighting chance even with this stay?
I think we should be on the ballot. And as a practical matter, there are two things you have to keep in mind. First, you have a situation where we had 2,400 and some that they said were valid signatures. They then said, okay, we have a variety of reasons why we want to exclude them. When we asked that we didn't think they were right, we want to challenge them, so can we see them? They said, no, it's impossible. They couldn't produce them. Now, I ask you, here you are.
Kiss FM is celebrating Detroit Dads this year with a chance for you and your pops to hang out with us all summer long. It's our Father's Day My Pops Can Hang giveaway. Just visit KissFMDetroit.com now through June 15th and upload a throwback t-shirt of your dad hanging at the show or the party for a chance to win the My Pops Can Hang Ultimate Grand Prize. You and your dad can be front row at all our summer concerts, including the Father's Day Jazz Spectacular with David Sanborn and Peebo Bryson, the Kiss Block Party, starring Tony, the Ultimate Versus Battle with Frankie Beverly Mays versus the Isley Brothers, and more. Log on and upload your pick now for your chance to win the Kiss FM My Pops Can Hang giveaway, powered by New Day Entertainment and the station that's putting pops on top, 105.9 Kiss FM.
We're going to go back to that Fox 2 interview with James Craig and Perry Johnson.
But I can't tell you who you killed. As a practical matter, they should give you a right to at least defend yourself.
To look at the evidence that they're accusing you of this forgery. Chief Craig, let me ask you a question. When you take a look at moving forward here, you heard Perry Johnson say you need the name. You got millions of people in the state of Michigan. You're on the network on Fox News pretty often.
Yes.
People know you in this country. They know you in this state now. Do you have enough name recognition to be a successful write-in candidate?
Absolutely. I absolutely have enough name recognition. But you know what I think? Perry and I need to be partners because we want to clean out the swamp. And let me just say this. This is crap. You know it's crap. I have been approached by so many folks across the state who have called me and said, Chief, continue to fight. I got emails, text messages through my campaign that says, Chief, we know you were robbed. And you know what? I'm not going to roll over because this is not about me as a candidate. This is more about the voters of Michigan. They deserve to have the best candidate. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to win. I am the best candidate to unseat Governor Whitmer.
Chief,
Charlie Langton, let's bring you into the fold here. You're listening to the chief right now. Your thoughts?
Wait a minute. I just want to hear. I know the announcement the chief said he's going to be a write-in. That's a good announcement. Let me ask the Perry Johnson though. You're going to fight in federal court, but if you lose, will you join the chief? Maybe even be his running mate. Will you endorse the chief?
The reality of the matter is, as a practical matter, I'm a statistician, and I have to tell you that I look at the facts. Winning as a write-in, I know Chief is optimistic. When you take and analyze what needs to be done, it would cost, I estimated, approximately $22 million in order to accomplish this. And that's to put us at a position where we are at a severe disadvantage going into all the people that are on the ballot. But what I want to argue is the fact that they should not have excluded what we had. I'm going to give you these. For example, these are petitions that I did not turn in. Look at them.
All right.
Okay? They
Line
would
by
have
line.
said this is no good because the lines are crossed out. But
You have a couple crossed out lines here.
right,
all right.
and they claim that's no good. Now, these are all filled out.
Yep.
Notice they're all filled out? And you can call every one of them. They're all legitimate signatures.
Go ahead and have a seat with these.
Why
yeah.
did I not turn them in? I didn't turn them in because the font wasn't exactly right. Now, we both hire consultants. They are the ones that know the petitioners, right?
Yes.
So we hire them. They hire the petitioners, and they know what they're doing. I saw them looking over all of these petitions, and they scrutinize them. How are we going to ever tell if we have a forged signature if we do not have access to the signature? Think about it.
But Garrett,
how would you know?
Let me ask you this. You ran your campaign. You spent millions of dollars on television talking about how, for all of your career, you've been the quality control guy.
Yes.
How did the quality control of the petitions get past the quality control guy?
I don't think they're right. I'm going to ask you this question. Let's suppose we had Republicans just looking at the votes for Biden. No Democrats, just Republicans. They come back, they say 250,000 are no good. We're not going to show them to you, but you have to take our word for it. What do you think would happen in this country?
Well, there would be a lot of people who are really upset.
That's exactly what they did. The Democrats looked at them. They said, we looked at these, we decided that 10% of these are no good out of the 68,000, so we're going to throw them all away. The reality of the matter is, I would stake my life on the fact that half of those petitions at least are good. The reason I can't say more than half is that I didn't
Charlie,
get a chance to say.
Charlie, they're saying they weren't. He's saying it wasn't gypped off.
No, I got to say something. Charlie, Ruth,
Go ahead, Chief.
can I say something?
Yeah.
I'm not buying it. Let me just say this. I have been the candidate. Double digits have led the GOP. In fact, you know, like I know, I was in a dead heat with the incumbent governor. And with independents, I was ahead. So let me just say this. I'm a cop. Been a cop all my life. Perry and I, we were hook-winged. Let me just say this.
Do you really think all of your ballots, all of your petitions were bad?
No, they weren't.
So Charlie, there wasn't.
We need to talk about this. Let me,
Chief,
Charlie.
Let
Charlie.
Charlie come here just for a minute. Go ahead, Charlie.
Is this, listen, I understand the hoodwink stuff. I understand you should be on the ballot. But do you think that this was some kind of a deal to get the two of you off the ballot?
Come on, Charlie. Let me just say what I think as a cop. I've been a cop all my life. I don't think it's just Democrat. Let me just say this, and I'll put this out in one of my Republican opponents, she filed the first attack. So, and the reason why she filed the attack, she was getting 2-3% of the vote. I was in the 34 percentile. So it wasn't just Democrats. It was a Republican candidate who now they're trying to tout as the person that can run against Gretchen Whitmer. Let me just say this to you. I was a candidate. I can win as governor of the state of Michigan, not her. And you know.
But Chief, why did no one challenge Governor Whitmer's signatures? Was that oversight?
Oh wait, and you know what? I got to tell you, Root. Thank you for asking that question. She had 30,000. Was it 30,000?
Yep. 30,000. That's how many you're allowed.
How many of her signatures were good?
Well, why didn't you challenge that? Why didn't you challenge that, Barry?
Well, but let me just say this.
The reality of the matter is, as a practical matter, I have not been involved in politics. I had no idea that they had this kind of a scheme going. Keep in mind, they knew that they were already going to exclude everything from this one petitioner and never told anyone. Now, how reasonable is this? Think about it. And do you really think it's even reasonable that anybody can ever look at this, look at these and say, without looking at the signature, whether or not it's valid? And they're going to tell us all of
Let me
these are
just say
invalid?
this. Perry and I were the front runners. You know, and I mean, Root, I've been a front runner since I got into this. Double digit. I give it to Perry. He was running commercials every 5 minutes. I respect that. He was gaining on me. But at the same time, these other folks, let me just say this. The one person, the Republican candidate that launched an attack on me, guess what? 2 and 3%.
She wasn't even beyond.
What about let's
She
go
wasn't
ahead and
even.
let's
talk about
let's
that.
throw out the
Till we were
question
off.
about a guy named John Yob, who's the elephant in the room right now.
You want to talk about John Yob?
I'd like you to ask you about John Yob.
Well,
what do you?
Perry, but let me tell you something. Look, I've never been a politician. I don't know the mechanics of running a campaign. When I talked to John Yob, by the way, incidentally, for those who aren't familiar, helped with your campaign and then jumped ship. He jumped ship with Perry.
Right.
But here's what I know, and I'm not going to speak for Perry. John Yob, when I talked about the petitions, no worries. Let me tell you something. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And when I peel back the onions, because I'm a cop, I'm going to expose because both Perry and I have the same issue. How in the heck does Perry have the same dirty petitioners working for both of us? There's a common denominator. Look, I'm a cop,
So John Yob
and I
is a
think.
crook? Chief.
Wait a minute! Don't interrupt me.
And the Democratic Party are crooks.
Wait.
Everybody.
He's saying, is John Yob a crook?
I'm not going to say he's a crook.
No,
I'm not going to say
there's
that.
no way that I think
I'm
John
not going
is
to
a
say
crook
that.
at all.
Here's what I'm going to say to you, Charlie. There's a common denominator.
I can hear him.
How does the same people doing Perry's petitioners, James Craig's petitions, oh my God.
Well, but three others too.
Look,
They kicked off 5 people,
most people
right?
know that there's some stink on this. I've been a cop all my life. Let me tell you something. Oh, I'm not done yet. I'm going to unearth it. But let me tell you what I'm breaking on your show. Yes, I'm going to run as a write-in because the people that have supported me, the momentum, I'm going to be the next
Do you
governor.
file suit if it doesn't work out?
No, let me just say this to you. If it doesn't work out, I'm going to run as the next governor of the state of Michigan. I'm going to file suit anyway. I'm going to file suit anyway.
I'm going to ask you a question that Charlie alluded to at the beginning here. If you use James Craig's name on a write-in and then he asks you to join him on his ticket, would you consider yes? Lieutenant Governor, would you consider it?
No, I wonder
it, Perry. I'll let Perry
The
answer.
reality of the matter is, I'm not interested in being lieutenant governor. I ran to be governor.
My man. I love that.
I ran to be
and
governor.
I are the same kind of guy.
That's it. We understand it. I go along with James Craig. I'm going to tell you once again, the reality is that all of the 5 candidates that had these tossed off, they used a bunch of petitioners. Now, granted, I got into the race the announced, right?
Perry, the chief wants your money. He doesn't want your money.
Hey, wait.
Guys,
Charlie,
we got to take a break. We're going to come back.
Don't take a break.
We're going to take a break.
Can
and
we
when we
say
come
one
back,
thing?
we're going to have final thoughts with James Craig coming up after the break. Stay with us.
So there you have the discussion this past week on Let It Rip with James Craig and Perry Johnson. Some interesting dialogue going on there. But one thing is that you have to consider, and that is John Yob, Y-O-B, worked for James Craig first. He left Craig's campaign and went over to work for Perry Johnson. You really have to question, how is it that they're in the same boat now with these alleged bogus signatures, and they both used the same company. Now, I don't know what kind of process candidates go through in determining who they're going to hire for their petitioners to get petitions. There are some people who've done that kind of work and organized that kind of work again and again, specifically for decades. I mean, it's what they do, is how it's, and some of them are really, really good at it. And they trust the people they send out to get the signatures because they've always been able to get honest, ethical people. But I've got to tell you, when you're going into these grocery stores and some of these other places, and some of these people are collecting signatures, some of them don't even know what the content of the signatures is about. And I know that because I'm always curious about that kind of stuff. And when they approach me, I just ask them, what is it about? And they have 2 or 3 words they can say, but they can't tell you any more than that in terms of what the depth of the content is. What does it really mean? If it passes, what is it going to do? What is it not going to do? Very, very interesting. This is not the first time something like this has happened, but for the Republicans to get caught up in this kind of chaos is kind of unusual. It's kind of unusual. They tend to have the money to hire the best people. And here you have Craig and Johnson. And according to the numbers, Johnson was edging up to be the #1 Republican candidate. And I guess if you got a ton of money, you can get over it. But to think about sinking $7 million of your own money and you don't get to play in this race has to be pretty disenchanting. When we come back, we're going to talk about the guy who is now edging up to be the #1 Republican candidate here in Michigan for governor. And he's got about 3 federal indictments hanging over his head. Stay with us. You're listening to The Mildred Gaddis Show.
Kiss and GoDaddy have partnered to empower small businesses in Metro Detroit. It's time to get your business going with GoDaddy. Tell me what makes your business unique, and you can be featured in an upcoming interview with me. Go MasonBeansBusiness313.com to share your story.
Michigan's primary election is on August 2nd. The general election is November 8th. Approximately 80% of Michigan voters live in a newly drawn district and could have a new polling place. Voting is your constitutional right, and AARP Michigan wants to be sure you know how and where to cast your ballot. To find out more, visit aarp.org/MIVotes or text MIVotes to 22777.
Hi, it's me, Gia Peppers. Tune in to More Than That live this weekend wherever you listen to podcasts. This week and next, we're all things Juneteenth. I'm talking with DJ and audio engineer Jamel Young Guru Keaton, political expert Mike Muse, influencer and poet Lene Vani Bogues, civil rights activist Dr. Ben Chavis, and community organizer Nsé Ufot. This special Juneteenth episode of More Than That is sponsored by Chevrolet. Learn more about how they're driving real change at change.newsone.com. Chevrolet, real talk drives real change. I felt like I had to do something. I really felt like I needed to be in the streets.
This is the first time that all races are getting out and protesting against this. If I put this mirror to the face of America and you see what you're doing to me, you're going to have to feel some type of way. Yeah. I'm only asking you for you to live up to what you wrote down.
The following is a paid political announcement.
I'm Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. Growing up here in Michigan, I was taught to stand up for anyone who's facing injustice. That's what I've done my whole life, and that's been my priority while serving in the U.S. Congress. I'm so proud to be a fighter for the people because I care so much about our neighbors and our communities. I truly believe that people should be able to thrive, not just survive. That's why every day I stand up to the rich and the powerful, to hold corporations and special interest groups accountable to get results for all of us. From working to lower the cost of prescription drugs and healthcare, to fighting to make gas prices and housing costs actually affordable for our people. And I even secured more than $1 billion so families have access to clean, safe drinking water. And I'm just getting started. I'm Rashida Tlaib, running for re-election to Congress in Michigan's new 12th Congressional District, and I approve this message. I'm asking for your vote in the Democratic primary on Tuesday, August 2nd.
Paid for by Rashida Tlaib for Congress.
Better skin from your body wash? Try Olay Body Wash with skincare super ingredients.
You walked right into my life when all I had was emptiness. Just one day of you being around, you filled me with such happiness. Ooh, you lift me up off the ground, yeah, my temperature's rising without me realizing. Ooh, I love the way you make me feel, so magical and yet so real. I love the way you make me feel so good. I never thought I could, yeah. Bless the day that you came around, 'cause with you came a sudden change. Without you, I'd been nowhere. I tell you, darling, life is strange. No one else can ever compare or ever try to take your place. Someone pinch me, keep me awake, 'cause the way that I'm feeling, I think I must be dreaming. Ooh, I love the way you make me feel, so magical and yet so real. And I love the way you make me feel so good. I never thought I could, yeah. Ooh, I love the way you make me feel, so magical and yet so real. And I love the way you make me feel so good. I never thought I could, yeah. Baby, baby, I love the way you make me feel. Baby, baby, I love the way you make me feel.
I've searched around the world, but here I am, a lonely girl. Hard to believe that love has passed me by. That's not the way I planned it. What can I do? What can I say? There's nothing new, just another day. Still there's a feeling something might appear. Yes, it's here, I find love, and it's not too late. I found love that was worth the wait. Darling, it's true, 'cause I found love with you. Just think that only yesterday, chance for love seemed far away. All that's changed, it's all because of you. You make it so much better. I feel so sure I tell you this. I found love in our first kiss. This is the way I knew that it would be. Can't you see? I found it just in time. I found love, now it's mine, oh mine. Darling, it's true, yes, I found love with you. I tried to sing, only I had no song. My life was lonely till you came along. This is the ending. I hope I would see me loving you, darling, you loving me. I finally just in time, I found love and it's mine, oh mine. Darling, it's true that I found love with you.
Compelling talk you can count on. The Mildred Gaddis Show is back on 105.9 KISS.
Welcome back to the Mildred Gaddis Show. Still 68 degrees in the city. We're expecting a high of 83 today. Straight tomorrow, we're expecting a possible thunderstorm, but today, all dry in the Motor City. 313-568-1059. Just want to say, just share with you some of what our Facebook Live family is sharing. John Bennett says, as a candidate, the onus is ultimately on the candidate himself to assure the signatures are valid. As far as I know, Craig never rolled up his sleeve and went door to door. Kenneth Reed is hilarious. Kenneth says that he says that James Craig reminds him of Fire Marshal Bill from In Living Color. Let me say this. Let me tell you something. And he hasn't said anything. I'm still confused, he writes. Someone else said the same thing. Nimmock says they just don't know the candidates. She's talking about those people who are standing out gathering the signatures. Now, you know what? Here's what, and maybe because I don't know the process and I've never been ingrained in trying to get somebody elected to that extent. I've been ingrained in trying to get somebody elected, but to that extent. If you're a neophyte and you've never played this game and you hire people, you hire reputable firms, you would expect them to have a legitimate professional team and would expect that team to go that team would go out and gather legitimate signatures. Now, I don't know if it's possible for any candidate to go through every signature and ensure or guarantee that all of those signatures are valid. Now, this guy is edging right now as the leading this list of Republicans who want to be governor, and he just got indicted this past week.
We've learned the FBI has now arrested a Republican candidate for Michigan governor for his alleged involvement in that Capitol attack. And Ryan Kelly is now facing misdemeanor charges. CNN's Caitlin Polans has this reporting for us. What are you learning, Caitlin?
That's right. So new charges against a Republican politician in Michigan. Ryan Kelly is facing 4 counts, essentially for moving with this aggressive crowd of rioters past the police line on January 6th and into this restricted area outside the Capitol building. Kelly has been running for governor in a crowded field of Republicans, and the primary in Michigan is not until this August, but he has really built this far-right political persona because he's been very vocal about COVID restrictions and about opposing the Democratic governor, Gretchen Whitmer, who is running for re-election. So in this new criminal case against Kelly in federal court, the investigators have made clear that they have known about him and him being at the Capitol potentially for more than a year. Tips were coming in about Kelly being part of the riot last January, and there's been video out there of him climbing under scaffolding, waving on people in the crowd. And the FBI does note that they were able to identify Kelly partly because he's been so prominent politically. In court, they're saying now that they have compared images of Kelly to appearances he made at both American Patriot rallies in Lansing and in his hometown in 2020, and also at a Stop the Steal rally just after the 2020 election at the Michigan State House. At those rallies, investigators say he was wearing some of the same clothing he wore on January 6th, so a black coat and a black baseball cap backwards. So Kelly previously said he did not go inside the Capitol building on January 6th, and he'll be in court for the first time today. But stepping back on this arrest makes clear that the Justice Department is still hard at work bringing new cases against people in the riot. The Justice Department has charged more than 800 defendants by now, and they are still looking to identify hundreds more.
Now, a lot of you probably had never heard this name, Ryan Kelly, before this arrest this past week. Interestingly enough, he at this point has 19% of the Republican vote. And it appears that, according to Politico, that his wife had greater name identification on social media than he did. Now, she runs a blog. Her name is Tabitha Kelly. She runs a blog on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. She has 131,000 followers on YouTube, 19,000 on Instagram. And on Friday, I believe it was, she sent a message out to people saying, thank you all for the messages and prayers. My family is doing great. She posted that she made that post the day after the FBI raided their Allendale home and arrested her husband. She wrote that her accounts have never been about politics. Okay, you can believe that if you want to. And she directed people to her husband's social media accounts for more information about his gubernatorial campaign. All right. Not about the race, not about the charges, but about the campaign. She says that she's proud of him for standing up for what he believes in. And she said that is admirable no matter what side you're on. They have 6 children, and she homeschools the 6 children while she's doing her social media thing with cooking and all those other things that she's pushing on her social media platform. So there it is. Now, some of you may initially believe that, well, he's been indicted, he's being charged, and therefore his campaign goes up in smoke. Don't forget, don't buy that for one moment. Don't forget, this is the state where a jury decided not to charge some guys who plotted to kidnap and kill the governor of this state. Okay, just know where you are. Know where you are. He could very well he could very well keep that lead, and those numbers could grow. They could grow because of Michigan, because of the state that we are in, up south. And don't you ever forget that. That's right, up south. That's where we are. So it's going to be interesting to watch and see how this thing ends. And the female who's in the race, the one that James Craig talked about, you know, what it does or does not do for his campaign. So we'll watch closely on that. We're going to take a break, and I know that everybody is talking about Grand Rapids. A police officer shoots a black man in the back of his head when he has him faced to the ground. Legally, what does it mean, and why is it that he was not charged with first-degree murder? We're going to talk about it with attorney Todd Perkins right here on the Mildred Gaddis Show, so hang in here with us.
Hi, Detroit. It is Mason, and 105.9 KISS FM cares about the community. We're dedicated to keeping you informed, especially now and what's going on. Here's Mildred Gaddis.
The Accounting Aid Society of Detroit slogan is, we use taxes to build relationships and relationships to build futures. Here's CEO Priscilla Perkins.
And what we want to make sure is that individuals are aware through the American Rescue Plan that you get the money and the tax credits that are due to you. Many people are not aware and don't file, even if you have disputes with the IRS. Learn what you can do to get help. Come on in. Information is power.
Call 313-556-1920. The Accounting Aid Society. I'm Mildred Gaddis.
Thanks, Mildred. If you have an announcement or community event that you would like us to air, email us at kisscares@1059kissfmdetroit.com.
The metal flying machine.
You can say it, baby. You're headed out the door. It's all just a game. You just putting on the show. Ain't got a thing to tell me. I don't already know. You can tell the stories. I don't want to hear no more. I know that you ain't blind, but baby, you can't see. I got news for you, baby. You're still in love with me. I'm telling you the truth, baby. Ain't you heard the news? You're still in love. You're still in love. You're still in love with me. I got news for you, baby.
dance together. It's okay to dance. Come on, say.
We worship you, Almighty God. We worship you forever and ever. We worship you, Almighty God. Amen, amen, amen. When we are weak, you give us strength. You give us strength forever and ever. When we are weak, you give us strength. Amen, amen, amen.
We say amen.
Amen, amen, amen.
And it is so.
Amen, amen, amen.
Amen.
Amen, amen, amen.
Yeah.
Amen, amen, amen. You bring us peace.
You bring us peace.
Almighty God, you bring us peace.
Forever.
Forever and ever. You bring us peace.
Almighty God.
Almighty God.
Amen.
Amen, amen, amen.
Yeah.
You sent your one and only Son to lift us up to heaven, to heaven. You sent your one and only Son.
Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. Power, power, glory, glory. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Blessings, blessings, mercy, mercy. Praise the Lord.
Come on, you gotta praise the Lord.
We worship you, Almighty God.
Worship you.
We worship you forever and ever. We worship you,
Almighty God.
Almighty God. Amen, amen, amen.
Compelling talk you can count on. The Mildred Gaddis Show is back on 105.9 KISS.
Welcome back to the show. It was a decision many across the country, and especially here in Michigan, waited for with bated breath.
Tonight, Grand Rapids police officer Christopher Scher charged with murder for the shooting death of Patrick Lyoya after a traffic stop in April spiraled into a struggle.
I made the decision to charge Christopher Scher with one count of second-degree murder.
Lyoya's final moments all caught on camera. Amid mounting public pressure, police released several videos leading up to the deadly incident, showing the officer stopping Lyoya because his license plate didn't match his car. Lyoya running away. Then the two men wrestling on the ground where it appears Lyoya is grasping for the taser.
Let go of the taser!
An official autopsy revealed the 26-year-old refugee from Congo, who had a blood alcohol level 3 times over the legal limit, died after he was shot in the back of the head.
As with any defendant, he is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law.
The killing of an unarmed black motorist sparked protests in Grand Rapids, while Lyoya's grieving family demanded justice for what they called an execution.
Officer Scher turned himself in today and will spend the night in jail before his arraignment tomorrow. If convicted, he faces up to life in prison with the possibility of parole. His attorney said they're not offering any comments at this time.
What does it all mean? To help us understand legally what this second-degree murder charge is and what the next step is through this process is the well-known Detroit fighter for justice, attorney Todd Perkins, head of the Perkins Law Group here in the city of Detroit. Good morning, counselor.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. First of all, there is a second-degree murder charge. What's the difference in first degree and second degree?
Well, the second degree would be some form of premeditation, or there are some. In this case, it would be most likely some form of premeditation, and without that premeditation, it becomes the second degree. So it would have to be some planning or some thought process between the decision to what was an execution of this individual. But what I surmise, I haven't read the court documents, other than you can read the court documents, but you don't read the police reports. You don't read the investigative reports. And those will be forthcoming. At this point, the media usually has a very good tool and lawyers that they hire to be able to, through the Freedom of Information Act, to require those reports to understand why they made the determination between first degree, second degree, and perhaps voluntary manslaughter, which is a lesser offense from that. So in this situation, there's lack of premeditation. That's what, you know, that's why it's the difference between first degree and second degree in this case, I believe.
Now, the investigation was done by the Michigan State Police, yes?
Correct. Most times when you have a law enforcement agency that has a problem like this, they will seek out another agency, and oftentimes that agency is going to be the Michigan State Police.
What's the next step?
Okay. Well, next step, we've seen a couple of steps that have happened so far. He, even though we were unaware of the charges, I believe initially they would tell this individual and his lawyer the charges before the media and the public were told, because he turned himself in the night before. He knew he was being charged with something. I would assume that his lawyer and the media he and his family were told what he was being charged with. He then went in for an arraignment. He was arraigned. He was given a $100,000 bond, and I'm assuming he's posted that bond and he's released. The next step is going to be what's called a probable cause conference. Probable cause conference is a date and time which there's a court hearing to determine how the next stage is going to take place. Because clearly in this case it's going to be something called a preliminary examination, and that will be held. The preliminary examination is a testimonial stage. It's a stage or a hearing at which testimony will be given by individuals who are involved in the investigation to support the charges and to support this matter being bound over to go to trial. But to answer your question, the very next stage is the probable cause conference. And at that time, they'll make a determination of whether all the discovery has been received by the defense, what challenges they're going to have for the preliminary examination. I suspect this will be a long preliminary examination. It could take a day. It could take 2 days to do a preliminary examination in this case, depending on what type of witnesses the prosecution is going to present. And when I say that, it's highly unlikely that the defense will submit any witnesses at a preliminary examination stage, if that makes sense.
Say that again?
Okay, so at the preliminary examination, that's a hearing that it'll be the second hearing. The second hearing is called the preliminary examination. That's where testimony will be given, and a judge will make a determination at the conclusion of all that testimony if there's probable cause to bind this matter over to trial, to the circuit court, because it's in district court right now. I think it's Judge Ayub who set the bond, and it is that same judge that will conduct the preliminary examination, and it's the same person who will conduct the probable cause conference.
Attorney Perkins, you know, some of folk who believe in justice are really concerned about where the trial would take place. How likely is it that the prosecution would ask that trial be moved?
Well, would the trial be moved with the prosecution, or would the defense?
I know that normally the defense would right. make that question, make that request. But, you know, this is the same environment where we saw some folk get to walk, and there was evidence presented concerning the planned kidnapping and murder of the state's governor.
Correct.
How likely is it that you're going to get a mixed jury? And I know that has a lot to do with the unwillingness of people of color, a lot of people of color, to sign those jury forms so that they can be called to serve.
Correct. I mean, that's very concerning. And what I mean by that, and I think you understand, what we're trying to tell your listening audience is, here's a couple of things that I have a problem with. If I was a person who's looking for justice, if I'm a person who's looking for a fair trial for this family, because oftentimes we're saying a fair trial for the defendant, but I think that the media has made a good case for the defendant to be exonerated by releasing all the information about this individual's background, all this information about this individual being intoxicated, all this information about this individual having an outstanding warrant for domestic abuse, all these things about he doesn't have a license. So that information has been proliferated, and it's, I believe it's going to be hard for this individual to actually get the family to get a fair trial. And when I say the individual, I'm talking about the person who is now deceased, his memory, so that is something that, you rarely see. You rarely see that idea. And that question actually is throwing a curve at me right now because, if the prosecution move, what they're saying is that they cannot get a fair trial in their own county. So, how likely is that? But you have to think about this. Is that prosecutor going to ask for a change of venue in his own county where he has to get reelected? So he's going to announce to his voter electorate that he doesn't believe that his county citizens can be fair to a defendant, to a white defendant. Let's be clear what we're talking about here. In a county that I believe is predominantly white, is he going to take that strong step to make that request?
Got it.
No, I doubt that very seriously.
Not that I've seen that happen before on the prosecution side. It just seems so gloomy to me right now, based upon what you've just shared about all of this stuff. We've become accustomed in this country of seeing Black victims be criminalized after having been murdered at the hands of white police officers. Mm-hmm. We know that. You know what? We've got Kawaji on the line, Attorney Perkins, wanting to talk with you. Good morning.
Good morning. Attorney Perkins and Mildred Gaddis are absolutely right. You basically said what I was going to say on this call. This is a movie that we've seen over and over and over again. And the media and the court will make this victim the suspect. So you've already said what I was going to say, but thank you for accepting my call.
Thank you very much for caring enough to call in. 568-1059 is our number. Attorney Perkins, you've expressed some of what you are concerned about with this situation. What should our listeners be looking for as this process moves along? It's one of those that really needs to be viewed.
Well, what we need to do, and I know what our organization with the People Voice is going to do, we're going to go out and seek our own Freedom of Information Act requests so we can have an opportunity to look at these police reports, to look at the quality of the investigation. I believe that they in an investigation like this, no stone was unturned. I do believe that they've done a comprehensive investigation. How they'll use that to spin this, like that gentleman just said, it was chilling, his words, because he's saying what we're talking about because everybody's feeling it. We've all been down this road before, but for Keith Ellison in Minnesota, who put on a very well thought out and well positioned trial. But we also have to be concerned about one thing, a couple of different things. Here's the things we do have to be concerned with. This individual was fighting this guy. You understand that? So I am concerned about that. How much are they going, but at the moments towards the end, this person had control of him. There was no reason to shoot this individual. He had control. But, a defense attorney is going to say this individual had every reason to do what he did because this individual never stopped. But it's true. He stopped at the end. And what you want to do is look frame by frame at that video. You want to have an opportunity to look at those police reports and to make a determination, because I believe, I have not listened to the radio dispatch, but, my concern is why go, for a traffic offense, an individual's walking away, why go after him? Why not wait for your backup? He's not going anywhere. So those are some of the things that I'm concerned about from the perspective of because I'm looking for justice for this man. I truly believe, but I'm allowing myself to let the evidence take us where it needs to take us and see what the reports say. But from all accounts, from what we see, I just don't see the basis and the justification for this man to have lost his life.
I'm going to say something that has nothing to do with the legal aspect of this. Mm-hmm. And let me preface it by saying, I mean absolutely no disrespect, none whatsoever. But these parents who have these young men who are coming in and out of your house with their pants hanging below their behinds, they need to look at this video. You need to show them this video. He fell. He was sagging. He fell. And one has to wonder if he had not fallen in that moment when he lost, his stride, would he have been able to keep moving? And one never knows. But in this season that we're in, where police officers are choosing to kill black men, they need to know that if you're trying to get away, and I'm not suggesting that you run from the cops, but there are times when it's the smartest thing you can do is to run, because we know what happens oftentimes if you don't. But guys, you got to pull your pants up. Grown men, you got to be an example. That young man fell. His pants were hanging. He had to stop and handle that, which slowed him down. And, I don't know if somebody calls a summit with the rappers and the rappers tell them to start pulling their pants up. I don't know how you do that, but it needs to be changed.
Yeah.
And they need to see that video. You need to see it, people.
And look at how many conferences you've been involved with, I've been involved with, when we're telling black men how to engage the police, because it's an epidemic. It is something that we're concerned about long before this young man died. This is something we've been concerned about as a parent who has children, as a person who was a young man who was being told this, not as much as we are today, because we're doing these conferences on a weekly basis with young people, because they need to understand the engagement. And also I am so much for freedom of speech and freedom of expression. But again, they've put us and categorized us and bastardized us by the way that we look and by the way that we walk, by the way that we talk. And in this situation, by the way he was wearing his pants. But, that's what you announced right there is one of the things, the optics that a jury's going to see when they see this black man with his pants sagging. That's going to be a conclusion that they're going to draw. So unfortunately, there'll be some people in that jury pool, maybe not who make the jury, but I guarantee you who are going to draw a conclusion, or who have drawn a conclusion because they have seen the video, because it has been proliferated through the media so much, that this person, he's a bad guy. He's all these other things. But it has challenges on both sides, and I am concerned with the ability and the desire of the prosecution. Because here, it's one thing to charge an individual. It's a second thing to convict them. There's a great strides between the two, the charging and the convicting, especially for someone who I do believe is going to get a fair trial. It's more likely that a white person is going to get a fair trial than a black person, period.
Oh, history is very clear on that. Hilton, you're on the Mildred Gaddis Show with attorney Todd Perkins.
Yes, how you doing, Mildred? There was a lot of, great points that have been made about this. I, too, also feel a lot of uneasiness about where this, about the trial. because I've seen it before when Terrence Crutcher was killed in Oklahoma. They had film on that. He was unarmed. It was a traffic offense that he was stopped for, and the officer just shot him while his hands was on top of his vehicle. In this case, there was a struggle, and I do believe that the defense attorney is going to focus on the struggle and give them a reason, not to convict this officer. And the officer did a heinous thing. It was murder, just like he was charged. But I would like to see the prosecutor, how vigorous he's going to prosecute this case. I would hope that he would use the playbook that they did in Minneapolis on the George Floyd case, where they emphasized that even though this person ran away, it was a traffic offense. And there's no capital punishment for capital offense. And this officer decided to put his gun in the back of this young man's head, even though he was running and trying to escape the police. But running from the police is a bad thing, Mildred, because that gives them an excuse to go, and regardless of whether they're sagging or anything like that, they should never, ever run away from the police.
And I want you to understand the context in which I was discussing the sagging. What I'm saying is, and I'm glad that Attorney Perkins brought up the other aspect of the visual of that before the jury, and how biased, prejudiced people will put all of that in a bag about him being a bad character. What I'm saying is his pants caused him to fall.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
I get it. Yes.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. And then, but you also have to interject in there what the defense is going to say is the alcohol causes him to fall too. So, he has several different things, but I think we have to start at this point. What was the purpose of this officer even chasing him? He's got his car. He's got other people who can identify who he is. So what's the point in chasing it? The guy wasn't even really running. He's walking away. He calls for backup. The way Grand Rapids works, they have very good responsive times. He was going to have backup on the scene. What was he doing? That's the ultimate problem that I think that officer has. Is why?
Well, one thing he can't say he was in fear of his life. That's for sure.
Well, he can't say that he was in fear from his life initially, but once he got engaged with the guy, I think he wrongfully engaged this individual physically, unnecessarily, and oftentimes in the law, you can no longer claim a defense if you were wrong in the initial interaction and had to use some extra force because of your own bad decision or bad behavior. So that wouldn't be a defense that he could use. That's what's going to have to be, and as we start talking about this more and more, that's what's going to have to be the position of the prosecution, is that claim defense that he had, he sort of eradicates that by his decision-making in initially physically engaging this guy. He should not have.
And in some cases, not necessarily murder cases, but there have been cases where because of the initial wrong decision by the police officer to follow, chase, or whatever, the justice system in that particular environment dropped the charges because of the bad initial decisions of the police officer to stop and or approach someone because it was bad. They were initially charged, but the charges were dropped.
Yep.
Hilton, thanks.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mildred.
Thank you for calling in. 568-1059. What else do we know, Attorney Perkins, about Patrick Lyoya?
Well, the problem that I have is they continue to proliferate. I use that word proliferation because it's so spread out. It's such a large, looming story. What's the point of him being a refugee? I mean, that's, again, another pockmark that they throw at this individual. Someone, because when you say that refugee, you've got individuals who might say, well, I can't treat him the same way that I'm going to treat this officer who is son of America, so to speak. And so we know that. We know that he's had 3 prior alcohol-related convictions, which caused his license to be revoked, 2 or 3, I believe. So he did not have a valid license. He had a pending charge, I believe, for domestic abuse or domestic violence. I believe it was a misdemeanor offense. So we know that about him. We know that he has, clearly, because he's had alcohol-related convictions, he has prior criminal history. But, you know, that's pretty much, I mean, there's more information about him, but that's the information that the media has made sure to get out there. So, you know, it is, you know, those are the troubling things that I feel that how is this family going to get a fair trial for their son, you know, brother, cousin, this Mr. Loyola. I find it hard. You know, it's going to be hard.
That's probably an understatement.
Right.
Because here's what we know, that repetition can be a convincing argument.
Oh, yeah.
And the more those characteristics about this individual, the more it's beat like a drum, those are the things that are going to be in the minds of the jurors. And then when you get into the courtroom, any good defense attorney, because they're not all good, will take that and repetitiously remind the jury that this is not a good guy.
Right. And more importantly, that the defendant had reason to fear for his safety, and that he used reasonable amount of force to protect himself at the time. Because what he's going to do is he's going to have a self-defense claim, and a self-defense claim you have to put yourself in the moment, in the time in which this person is acting, as to what decision he made. Not what you would make as a Monday morning quarterback, but what you would make if you were the individual in his shoes at that particular time. So what was it reasonable at that time? And that right there is going to be something that, like, from the start of the examination to the end of the trial, that's something that the defense is going to, as you use that word, repetitiously promote. That's what they're going to do throughout this trial.
Vita, you're on the Mildred Gaddis Show with attorney Todd Perkins.
Yeah, well, good morning, Mildred. First of all, I applaud you, Mildred. I love you for your platform. It's fantastic. We need this type of stuff.
Thank
for
you,
Black
sweetie.
people.
Thank you.
I used to stay in Grand Rapids. I grew up in Grand Rapids. I now live in Detroit. But Grand Rapids to me is like a tale of two cities, because it's like you got the white people, then you got the black people, and I'm just surprised that the prosecutor actually brought charges in this case right here, because that's not the Grand Rapids that I'm familiar with. But I'll also be surprised if there be a conviction that'll come out of this. So it's like we've seen this one too many times where the black people get killed by the police, and then what happens? A lot of times the police get off. So it's like I really don't have any faith in the justice system in Grand Rapids, because it's a white political structure. So I just kind of think that it's symbolic that they would do this, like bring up the charges. But at the same time, I just feel like we're going to be let down.
Vita, do you think that this charge came because of the national spotlight and the pressure?
Maybe, and it's trying to put Grand Rapids like in a good light. But the truth is, it don't have a good light when it comes to black people. So it's like I don't think charges will go any further than where we are now. It's like I don't think a conviction is going to come after this. If they do, I'll be quite surprised, and I think that Grand Rapids may be now headed in a better direction concerning black people, because the political structure itself in Grand Rapids is majority white, and it has always been that way.
Thanks,
Mildred,
thanks for sharing.
She's speaking what everybody's thinking. You know, we're sitting here talking about it, and I don't want to be that real about it. But that's something that's been in my heart ever since hearing about it, even when they were considering the charging decisions. But like I said, there's a long road between charging and convicting, and I'm rolling. If I were a betting man, I'm betting with Vita today versus what my mind and my heart want.
And it's important that people understand that, and I'm so glad that she called in. We can get excited about the charge, but this is not the conviction. And there's a difference between the charge and getting to that particular destination of having a guilty verdict. It really, really is. And
can I say something?
Sure.
Just one thing. So I do want to trust that our system works. I do want to trust that there'll be a fair jury. And and that's a big if all those things are in place and there is a fair trial and that a fair, reasonable jury on an objective standard makes a decision, I can accept it. But I just don't believe that we're going to have all of those ingredients and have a fair trial. I just don't believe it. I think it's so hard to happen. It's so much harder to happen in America to have a fair trial for a black person than it is for a white person. It just is. I mean, ask Robin DiAngelo, who is a big proponent on, or not proponent, but a well-studied individual on race relations, and she is white. I mean, she is, and I studied her book and other books beyond that. But again, I have a real concern for the ability for a fair trial to be conducted, and particularly a fair trial to be conducted in King County. On this issue.
I totally get it. And we have another issue here that we never talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it. And that is some blacks who sit on juries, and the majority of the jurors are white.
Right.
Who feel within their bones that a verdict should go in a particular direction. And because of their co-jurors, who happen to be white, have taken a position and have challenged them, they buckle and they go along with the majority of the jurors. I sat in a federal courtroom, I don't know when I'm going in again, when a black preacher was indicted concerning some HUD funds. They all had the facts. They had a very racist judge who sat on the bench and would challenge would tell the prosecution things like, well, did you hear that? Don't you have something to say? I mean, throughout the court, he would say that to the prosecution. And what had happened was this pastor took $31,000 of HUD money, and instead of using it on building a house, used it on helping people get into federal house funding or something like that. Because if it's designated for one thing, you got to use it for that.
Correct.
So so it was still used for public housing, but it was supposed to be used for building. He was, and so these black jurors saw all the evidence, and in the final analysis, he got like 5 or 7, must have been 5 charges, guilty on all of them, and everybody's like, was everybody asleep in this trial? But anyway, he was found guilty, went to Tulane, I think one of the black universities in New Orleans, a law school, hired a professor who appealed it, went to court, and 3 of the 5 charges were thrown out by the federal appeals court. But there were like about 4 to 5 blacks on that jury. And, people are asking, what did they not hear? What did they not see? And certainly it's not good enough just to have blacks on the jury. they must be informed and will not be intimidated. I understand that in those jury discussions, folk call you stupid, call you all kinds of things. But but the agenda is to get some informed jurors and people. We need to inform ourselves. We need to know what's going on.
Yeah, it's high time that we as African Americans are not looking to placate our fellow white Americans and vote how our heart feels to vote, how our mind feels to vote. And not to just say we're voting this way because this individual is black, but to vote this way because this is what I believe. And maybe our belief systems are different, but we're entitled to vote where our belief systems are. We're entitled to do those things. So, and vilify us if you must. But these are the differences in two different Americas. But yes, you're right. We have to stop wanting to placate other individuals and go along to get along, so that just cannot happen if we want our place at the table, because otherwise it's just an empty place.
You got that right. Thank you so much, Attorney Perkins, for reminding us about what the issues are here and what's at stake in this Patrick Lyoya case. We'll keep watching it and we'll keep calling you. And by the way, folks, the number to the Perkins Law Group is 313-964-1702. That's 313-964-1702. And have a super fantastic week, Counselor.
Yeah, you too, and keep on telling the people, educating the people the way that you do. We need you. We need you. We need more of you. That's what we need.
All right, Counselor. Thank you so very much, and we appreciate your time and your intellectual depth. Talk to you soon. Okay.
Thank you. Love you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
It's a Kiss FM Summer of Soul Pick Your Pair winning weekend. The Kiss FM Summer of Soul concert series continues. And this weekend, you get to pick your pair of tickets to one of our sizzling summer shows at Michigan Lottery Amphitheater. Want to go to the Kiss Block Party 4th of July weekend? Starring Drew Hill, Next, Tony, and Genuine. Or would you rather see the best of Bad Boy? August 21st with Lil' Kim, Mace, 112, and The Lox. You decide. Just listen at 20 after the hour for the keyword to text. Then text the word to 313-568-1059. Pick your pair. The Kiss Block Party. The best of Bad Boy. All part of the Kiss FM Summer Soul Concert Series. Powered by New Day Entertainment, Budweiser, and Detroit's Summer Soul Station. 105.9 Kiss FM.
Presented in part by the Juneteenth Family Health.
Out to my fellow man, saying, brother, help me if you can. We're better together. We're better together. We're better together. Ooh, we're better together. When hard times strike, strike us all. If I'm just one, I'm gonna fall. We're trying to make us start again. Moving forward with my friends. We're better together. We're better together. We're better together.
just twice as easy. We can do anything we want, believe me. We're better together. We're better together. We're better together. Ooh, we're better together. Oh, brick by brick, hand in hand, side by side, yes we can. Yes, we can. Yeah, brick by brick, hand in hand, side by side, yes we can. Yes, we can. We're better together. We're better together. We're better together. We're better together.
Here's this hour's keyword to text. Bad. Text the word to 313-568-1059 for your chance to pick up your pair. Good luck. 105.9 Kiss FM.
This is the Mildred Gaddis Show. The streets are talking.
Well, I got something to say.
The streets are talking, but y'all ain't listening.
What the streets talking about then?
The streets are talking, y'all, and Mildred is listening.
Still 68 degrees in the city. I'm Mildred Gaddis, 313-568-1059. The streets are talking about this $1 million that it's supposed to come into the city of Detroit to help Janice Winfrey unseat Rashida Tlaib, which, by the way, currently is no easy feat. Now, before we go there, let me just share a couple of comments with you from our Facebook family friends. Patricia Mason, we always call her Pat around here, says there have been too many instances that have ended in deadly results due to traffic violations. Too many officers, she say, have used these violations to engage with citizens for the sole purpose of harassment. In my opinion, she says, unless the citizen is using a vehicle in a way that may cause bodily harm, reckless driving, speeding, etc., drivers should not be stopped for expired tags. Tamari Kimmett says that we need informed jurors and we need, she said, we need informed jurors and we need an activist juror. Judge David Perkins, good morning. He says that sometimes we have to take our place at the table. Oh, Tamari, that's so cute what you just said. You'll like this, Marcus. She says, Let's clone Mildred Gaddis and her producer and crew. How about that? I know you like that, don't you? All right. Here's what they're talking about. Now, I just want to remind you all. It wasn't very long ago that some folk came in with a boatload of money and they were going to unseat Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy. And when they came in with the money, the challenger had no power over how that money, they took control, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. But every political environment is different. Every market is different. Detroit's different from Chicago. Chicago is different from D.C. Go south, Atlanta, sometimes you have to be really on the ground and really have a feel for a place. But anyway, so these folk came into Detroit. They brought a boatload of money, and they were going to unseat Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy. Oh, they took to the airwaves with these commercials attacking Worthy, yada, yada, yada. Folks in the street had changed their minds after they saw well, no, they really hadn't, but they appear to have changed their minds on their way to the polls. Oh, everybody was talking about it. Kim Worthy was going to lose that election. Well, guess what? Kim Worthy beat her opponent 2-1. She received 60-some thousand votes, and this other person, I think, got near 30. Oh, it was a great challenge. It was with all of the exposure that the challenger received, and this and that, and stories being told, some lies being told. Well, Worthy's base didn't believe the lies. And Worthy did not try and combat that money that was being spent to unseat her. Will this be similar? Who knows? But one thing, Rashida Tlaib is not lazy. She's an aggressive campaigner. Her base is solid. I know that this is a newly carved district. But she's not going to take a defeat sitting down. And she's smart. And she is very smart. She's an attorney. What I'm uncomfortable with is my belief, and it's only mine. Some of my opinions about this thing is based on common sense and history. Common sense and history. If Proposal P had passed, clerks would not be able to count their own votes. They would not be able to count their own votes. You've got a situation there in Georgia where the governor, a Republican, there was some messing with the votes last time out. I think the Secretary of State is that person has another title in the state of Georgia. But anyway, the vote counting person was a Republican, and there were some issues. So I'm uncomfortable with any person who's running for re-election being able to count their own votes. There are some sophisticated things that can be done with technology now. There are formulas you can put into a system that will guarantee you a certain outcome. And when the people, even if you physically remove the person, you still have that staff that's generally loyal to their bosses. Generally speaking, some folk hate their bosses, but most folk, they go along. They don't really care about them as long as they leave them alone. So I'm just always uncomfortable with that. Now, the streets have been saying for a couple of these years here, and I think it's factually correct, that because I've spoken with people who are in that powerful circle, people have been saying that members of the Jewish community have been looking for a woman to challenge Rashida Tlaib. And reportedly, this $1 million is a PAC. In fact, Bakari Sellers said a couple of weeks ago that he was bringing $1 million in to Detroit to help Janice Winfrey boost her campaign and restore infrastructure, improve educational opportunities in the 12th district. Now, the $1 million is coming from a group that's made of, it's a coalition, and it's made up of Black and Jewish business leaders. They're upset with Rashida Tlaib for what they have characterized as being unequivocal in her disdain for Israel and its treatment of Palestinians, and the fact that she introduced a resolution in the House to recognize Palestinian Nakaba, a term describing the displacement of Palestinians ahead of the 1948 establishment of Israel. Now, before Rashida Tlaib showed up, we heard over and over again about this fight between Israel and Palestine. And it's one that's not going to go, it's just not going to go away. They've been critical of Tlaib because they say that she's one of the most liberal and outspoken members of the House Democratic Caucus, and she's been a persistent critic of President Joe Biden, delivering her own rebuttal to his State of the Union address in March. She was a no vote on Biden's bipartisan infrastructure bill that was signed into law at the end of last year. So here's the question, and I don't know how many people know that, since folk are surface-oriented, but there are a lot of people who do. Can Janice Winfrey, now keep in mind, she may have $1 million added, but Tlaib has even more. I think maybe 2 months ago she had, was it $2 million already? So she'll get the money. She'll get the money from people across the country as well as in the state of Michigan. So how do you size this thing up? That's what I want to know. Can Janice Winfrey beat Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib? You know, despite the fact when you talk about Janice Winfrey, even with the mayor criticizing her when the world had to wait past time to get the results of that election, not the Biden election, the one before that. So what do you think? 568-1059. Is this her moment? Is this Janice Winfrey's moment? The New York Post did an article on this race, and they called Janice Winfrey the gun-toting grandmother. Can she beat Rashida Tlaib? Can she outwork her? James, what do you think?
Good morning, Miss Mildred. How are you?
I'm good. Good to hear from you.
Likewise. So, you know, a couple things. So, for one, I think it should be stated that the reason Rashida Tlaib voted against the infrastructure bill and some other progressives did was because they knew they wanted to tie in the Build Back Better, which really would have more of an impact on our community than the infrastructure bill itself did. And they knew that bill would get dropped eventually. You know, Manchin and Sinema talking about it later, and you haven't heard anything else about it since. So there was a reason behind that. And I agree with her in the sense that Biden just doesn't go far enough.
Do you think that people understand that? Do they care?
No.
Do you think they care?
probably not. I think Janice Winfrey's problem is going to be the way elections have been handled in her county. You know, the fact that we've always been horrible when it came to, you know, getting our election rolls in on time and that sort of thing. You know, I just don't think she's done a good job.
Well, you know what's interesting is generally if you're somewhere and Janice Winfrey's name come up, the comments aren't positive. But yet, right. And you're going to ask anybody in Detroit, the comments are not positive.
Absolutely.
But yet and still, when election time comes, her numbers are just phenomenal. They are just phenomenal. James, I got to tell you this. When we finish our chat, and I want to continue this chat, do not hang up. We've been trying to find you.
Okay.
We've been trying to find you, so I don't want you to hang up because Marcus wants to talk with you, okay?
Absolutely.
So tell me this, James. With her additional $1 million, is that enough to beat Tlaib?
I don't think so. I think Tlaib has a very solid base. I think she has a lot of, you know, people that will back her up. I'm sure the Arab community will step up for her. There are some things about Tlaib I don't necessarily like. You know, I've heard you talk before, and you didn't speak to her directly, but I would say it applies to her, some of her behavior and looking for the camera and that sort of thing. But, yeah, I would probably lean toward her over Winfrey. I mean, there are people that they could have put up against Tlaib that I would have supported, but, you know, Winfrey is just, if you can't handle the elections here, why do I want to send you to Congress?
Well, she says that here's what she says. I've won 4 times citywide, and I'm putting together the resources to mount an aggressive campaign. But keep in mind, this new district isn't just a Detroit district anymore.
Right.
You know, it's not a Detroit district anymore.
But I don't know that she has name recognition far beyond the reaches of Detroit.
I will tell you what she does have, and this I think needs to be changed and challenged. I'm driving down the Lodge Freeway a couple of weeks ago, and I see this big billboard with Janice Winfrey saying, "Be safe." So, be safe. Why does a city clerk have a billboard saying "Be safe"? That's city money. Now, is that to enhance her efforts in the campaign? Certainly doesn't hurt. You got that right. And it was not a vote for Janice Winfrey. It was...
No, it doesn't need to be.
That's right.
It's still putting her name out there. It still has her
That's what I'm saying. The fact that she's allowed to do that and nobody says... There's something wrong with that because you're really abusing the voters' resources.
I agree with that. The fact, like you said, the fact that she or people from her office count votes, that's a problem.
You know,
there should be an independent body in her elections.
Yes. The you know, I had my conversation months ago with it was last year with Congresswoman Tlaib about, I said, here's the problem. I didn't say here's my problem, but that was my part. She knew it was my problem. When Republicans are dealing with an issue, they go in the room, they fight about it, and even the ones who don't support it will never publicly say, I'm not with this. They're rarely. They don't fight each other publicly. I guess that's what I'm saying. They don't, and I said this to the Congresswoman, they don't fight each other publicly. And right now with the country as it is, the Democrats don't see, and here's the other thing, James. They're all on message when they come out that room. When that fight is going on, something happens with them, when they come out, you can turn on the television and hear a Republican from New York, one from Mississippi, one from Oregon. It doesn't matter. They're all on message.
I don't disagree with you, because even if you look at quote-unquote outliers like a Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger, they all vote the same way, basically.
They do.
You know, the only thing people can like about Liz Cheney is that she's anti-Trump, but she voted with him.
Right. You're right. You're absolutely right. And you know
she
something?
Voted with him.
I hope she survives. I really do, because you got to have some strong stuff to go against the party as they go after Biden, and as they continue to perpetuate the big lie.
Can I give you a real quick funny story?
Certainly.
So my brother works at a federal prison in Florida. And he called me last week and he says, guess what? You'll never guess what happened. And I said, what? And he works in the administrative area and he interviews prisoners when they first come in. So he said he gets this file and he didn't recognize the name or anything at first. And he started to read into the file. And who it was a gentleman named Robert Palmer. And who Robert Palmer is the gentleman you see at the insurrection, and he's got on the flag jacket, and he throws the fire extinguisher at the cop. And he just got sentenced last week, if you'll remember.
Yes.
And that was the prisoner that my brother was having to interview, you know, coming into his prison.
And what did he have an attitude? Was he acting
No, my brother said he was real humble, kept repeating, I'm not a racist, and I regret everything I did. And, you know, he tried to make the argument in court that his reaction was from the cop shooting rubber bullets at him. And my brother said he had a CD-ROM right there, and he played it back. And he said, now show me where the cop shot the rubber bullet at you. And he said, look, you're in prison now. You can cut the BS. You've been convicted. This is not a case anymore. You've been convicted.
You don't have to tell that story anymore.
You don't have to tell that story anymore. It's not working.
Wow. What a part of history. What a part of history. What a part of history.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, listen, thank you so much. Do not hang up, because we've been
I'm on the line.
hunting for you. Okay, cool. Let's go to a break real quick, and we'll come back. You're listening to The Mildred Gaddis Show.
I don't care what anybody says. I still feel Detroit is the hair capital of the world. We need you to help us find the best beauty salons and stylists in Detroit. We call it the Battle of the Detroit Salons Bracket Competition. The winning salon gets $15,000 in a marketing package from Kiss FM. Go to KissFMDetroit.com. Vote for your favorite salon. This is powered by iBeauty Expo Inferno, the world's hottest hair show, June 18th through the 19th, Huntington Place. For vendor booth information and event details, iBeautyExpo.org.
I vaccinate because I want to protect my daughter.
I vaccinate because these diseases can be deadly.
Because of vaccines, we tend to think of diseases like whooping cough and measles as things of the past, but they aren't. Michigan's children still get them and pass them on. Get the whole story at ivaccinate.org. I vaccinate because I got the facts. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, the Franny Strong Foundation, and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
Summer Baseball Bash Weekend presented by Bally Sports Detroit and Miller Lite is coming back to Comerica Park June 10th through the 12th. How about it? Don't miss out June 11th when the Tigers take on the Blue Jays at 4:10 p.m. Come early and get photos and autographs with more than a dozen former Tigers, plus a special pregame ceremony including Austin Jackson, Jim Leland, Lance Parrish, and more. The first 10,000 fans receive Detroit Roots t-shirts. For tickets, go to tigers.com/tickets. No one roots like Detroit Roots.
Domestic violence can happen to both men and women, but you're not alone. Call 1-866-VOICE-DV for free confidential help. That's 1-866-VOICE-DV.
The metal flying machines that defined a generation and freed the world. And the metal of the pilots who flew them, who passed it down to today's generation. At the Thunder Over Michigan Air Show, you'll not only look at the past and present, you'll live it. 2 days, 4 incredible shows, the chance to fully interact and even fly. July 16th and 17th at Willow Run Airport. Get tickets at yankeeairmuseum.org/airshow. Proceeds support the Yankee Air Museum. It's an event you can't afford to miss.
The following is a paid political announcement.
I'm Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. Growing up here in Michigan, I was taught to stand up for anyone who's facing injustice. That's what I've done my whole life, and that's been my priority while serving in the U.S. Congress. I'm so proud to be a fighter for the people because I care so much about our neighbors and our communities. I truly believe that people should be able to thrive, not just survive. That's why every day I stand up to the rich and the powerful, to hold corporations and special interest groups accountable to get results for all of us. From working to lower the cost of prescription drugs and healthcare, to fighting to make gas prices and housing costs actually affordable for our people. And I even secured more than $1 billion so families have access to clean, safe drinking water. And I'm just getting started. I'm Rashida Tlaib running for re-election to Congress in Michigan's new 12th Congressional District, and I approve this message. I'm asking for your vote in the Democratic primary on Tuesday, August 2nd.
Paid for by Rashida Tlaib for Congress.
Attention! This is a special alert for all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an overpriced auto warranty or no warranty coverage at all. Due to the increase of new and used car prices, repair costs, and the price of gas, people are keeping their cars longer than ever, which is why CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on covered auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can save thousands for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. You could save thousands on future auto repairs. Our specialists are standing by for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-725-1536. Vehicle Protection Plan pricing is at an all-time low. Plus, drivers who purchase this coverage today will receive rental car options, free roadside assistance, and free towing. Call 800-725-1536 now for your free quick quote. That's 800-725-1536.
You walked right into my life when all I had was emptiness. Just one day of you being around, you filled me with such happiness. Ooh, you lift me up off the ground, yeah, my temperature's rising without me realizing. Ooh, I love the way you make me feel, so magical and yet so real. I love the way you make me feel so good. I never thought I could, yeah. Bless the day that you came around, 'cause with you came a sudden change. Without you, I'd been nowhere. I tell you, darling, life is strange. No one else can ever compare or ever try to take your place. Someone pinch me, keep me awake, 'cause the way that I'm feeling, I think I must be dreaming. Ooh, I love the way you make me feel, so magical and yet so real. And I love the way you make me feel so good. I never thought I could, yeah. Ooh, I love the way you make me feel, so magical and yet so real. And I love the way you make me feel so good. I never thought I could, yeah. Baby, baby, I love the way you make me feel. Baby, baby, I love the way you make me feel. I've searched around the world, but here I am, a lonely girl. Hard to believe that love has passed me by. That's not the way I planned it. What can I do? What can I say? much better. I feel so sure I still feel this. I felt love in our first kiss. This is the way I knew that it would be. Can't you see? I found it just in time. I found love, now it's mine, oh mine. Darling, it's true, yes, I found love with you. Tried to sing only I had no song. My life was lonely till you came along. This is the ending I hope I would see. Me loving you, darling, you loving me. I found it just in time. I found love and it's mine, oh mine. Darling, it's true that I found love with you.
WDMK FM and WDMK FM HD1 Detroit. This is the Mildred Gaddis Show on 105.9 KISS FM, a Beasley Media Group station.
It's the Kiss FM Summer of Soul. Pick your pair winning weekend. Want to go to the Kiss Block Party 4th of July weekend? Starring Drew Hill, Next, Tony, Genuine, or the best of Bad Boy. August 21st with Lil Kim, Mace, 112, and The Lox, both at the Michigan Lottery Amphitheater. Here's this hour's keyword to text. Summer. Text the word to 313-568-1059 for your chance to pick up your pair. Good luck. 105.9 KISS FM.
This is the Mildred Gaddis Show. The streets are talking.
Well, I got something to say.
The streets are talking, but y'all ain't listening.
What the streets talking about then?
The streets are talking, y'all, and Mildred is listening.
Thank you, Marcus. Listen, people are talking about Janice Winfrey says she's gonna take her out, that she's going to defeat Rashida Tlaib. What do you think? Give us a call at 569-568-1059, 568-1059. Here's something Winfrey said. She said, now listen to this, and I'd like to know what you think. This is a woman who wants to be sent to Congress. She said, I was walking to my neighborhood park recovering from COVID. This big white guy comes up to me and says, Miss Winfrey, I am looking for you. Why did you allow Trump to lose? There was an exchange, she said. I told him I would spit on him if he didn't get out of my face. I had COVID. That was all I had. And she says that the confrontation de-escalated after a neighbor happened to drive by and ask her if she was okay. Now, ladies, I gotta ask you, would you tell the world you were getting ready to spit on somebody while at the same time asking them to send you to Congress? Yeah, she said she started to spit on it. She said she told him she would spit on it. I think that's very interesting, to say the least. I really do. Bernard Davis posted on Facebook that Janice Winfrey was a math teacher. Can you please tell me how election results come in 78% wrong? I'm not a teacher, buddy, but in anyone's book, that's a failing grade. Chester Williams says, remember, this is not just Detroit. Let's look at Tlaib's track record and her activism in Detroit and the surrounding cities. Pat Mason says, yeah, Republicans do come out as one. Michelle Hayden posts, she always uses the money to put her face out there. Monies are not used for voter registration or education. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if some rabid Tlaib supporters don't spread the news to the new district about Winfrey's poor record as a public servant. Let's see here. Vanessa Valentine, awesome show, comments, and music. Thank you, my dear. Richard Clement Sr. I don't know what that is. I'm not sure what he means there. Derek Ramsey saying good morning. Michelle Hayden says that's why the state had to send in a ton of money to the city for the 2020 election. They wanted the count straight. She doesn't belong in the clerk's office, let alone Congress. According to her bio, she was a former math teacher. Poor kids. So what do you, and Cynthia Johnson, State Representative Cynthia Johnson posts, don't blame her. Oh, Pat. Pat says she's ghetto. Okay, that is funny. That's PG, there is no pre-selection. What Marcus told you was the order in which people call. We take the calls in the order in which they call. That's what most talk shows do. Okay, 568-1059. Does $1 million, the infusion of $1 million, does it push Janice Winfrey closer to a victory? That's the question here. Does it? Winfrey says she can do it. She talks about the fact that Tlaib doesn't do anything about crime. I don't know what you want a congressperson to do about crime, other than making sure that the city of Detroit gets the funding it's supposed to have to do what it's going to do, because there are federal dollars that come into law enforcement. I don't know. Have you? I'm still feeling this as a sleeper election, people, in all of these races. I talk to people who are on the ground, and they're not feeling the energy either. Pat, let's talk.
Hi, Mildred. I try not to call, but
I'm glad you did call.
Some of these topics, I tell you. Now, Janice Winfrey, really? They could not come up with anyone better to compete against Tlaib. Janice Winfrey, who woefully performs as a city clerk because she counts her own vote. You said she's phenomenal. She has phenomenal votes. I guess so. She counts her own votes. Wink, wink. That woman cannot get the vote out in the city of Detroit. So how in the world does she expect to ascend to a congressperson? I'm appalled that they could not find anyone else besides Janice Winfrey. Remember when she couldn't count 60,000 votes?
I remember.
What year was that?
I remember.
That was outrageous.
When the nation was looking to find out, and they were asking the question, what's wrong with Detroit? People were...
Exactly.
Listen, everybody in Detroit who knew somebody out of state got phone calls that night.
What in the world is going on? And then she keeps getting reelected? Impossible. It's impossible. They should change the rules. You should not be in charge of votes that you are a candidate in. That is a conflict of interest. Yeah. So, Janice Winfrey, girl, bye. Thank you, Mildred.
Good to hear from you this morning.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Talk to me, Tony.
Good morning, Mildred.
Hi there.
Good morning, Mildred. How are you?
I'm good.
You always bring some good material to the radio station and to the public. Let me tell you, both of these candidates have issues. The thing is, my question is to Janice Winfrey is what motivated her to run? And I'd like to know who her supporters are, because that's interesting. She was able to raise that kind of money. I want to know if our mayor has anything to do with it. But I tell you, it's a toss-up. Again, both of them have issues, and whoever gets that information out to the public will win.
Well, we need to understand, and in a few minutes we're going to when we come back from the next break, I'm going to share with you those areas that are enclosed in this newly drawn 12th district. And it's not all Detroit. As I said earlier, Tlaib's base is solid, those that she has. I don't know how much of that old district yet is woven into the 12th district. So we will certainly see. You want to know, how did they come up with Janice Winfrey? These people have been looking for a replacement, someone to run against Tlaib prior to this election for some time. There are some names that have emerged, and they've met with some of them. And one particular candidate I'm aware of, they liked her, but they just didn't think that she had the stuff that she could do it. There was another person. You ask me and we'll both know. Okay, you tell me and we'll both know. Right. There was someone else who did not have any issues other than they didn't like her personality. They thought that she was just the wrong person. And I did not know. I was surprised when they came up with Janice Winfrey. I really was.
She probably was surprised.
But can you believe she told the New York Post that she told this man that she was going to spit on him.
Very classy, right?
That's what she said. She told the New York Post that she told him, she said, I told him I would spit on him if he didn't get out of my face. I had COVID.
Well, I think she's at a desperate time in her career. So she's just throwing her name out there. But the person or persons who pushed her to run really blindsided her. And I wish her luck, but we could have came up with some better candidates.
Well, when people don't live in your community and they don't know, there are people they trust who are in that particular city or town or whatever, and I guess they're following their advice, but we'll see how it all shakes out. We will see how it all shakes out. Now, if I was Rashida Tlaib, I would take that I told him I would spit on him and make an ad out of it. I would. I would take that. I would put the New York Post at the head of that ad. I make it a visual. Okay, it'll be a good TV ad.
Mildred, I think you can run a campaign, but I'll tell you one thing. I tell you one thing. This is going to be very interesting because I don't see anything coming out of this race. But I would like to see a debate. You know, I'm always wanting to see two candidates to debate.
Oh, baby, that would be awesome.
That would start a lot.
Now, see, here's the deal. You've got to get somebody like the women's group. Can't think of the name. The nonpartisan women's group. See, some folks Janice Winfrey is going to say no to, because she's just not going to get into a debate when you know that you are outsmarted. Now, I don't care what you think about Rashida Tlaib. She's smart. I keep saying she's a lawyer because she's a smart one. And that would be awesome if someone could get them to debate.
It'd probably be comical too.
But that would be great. Now, if you've got, okay, let me ask you this. What is the most powerful black organization that Janice Winfrey would not say no to? I'm not saying powerful. It may be the Council of Black of Pastors. It could be, there's some Kojic pastors who are very strong. Parishioners who go to that church are more obedient. Listen, I've lived a while. Okay, they're more. They tend to be more obedient when it comes to directives from the bishops. I got to give them credit for that, and they're loyal. Now, I grew up a Baptist. I'm just a good Christian now.
I'm not mad at it.
Look at. I'm just a good Christian now. I don't do labels anymore. I try to be a good Christian, but I think that kind of group. And there's a women. It's not a black group, but there's a women's voters group. The women of. No, it's not Jewish women. Gosh, I can't think of it. They're nonpartisan, but anyway, that would be great.
Yeah,
that would be great. That would be
Janet
great.
Winfrey a AKA? Is she an AKA or a Delta?
I don't do those labels either, so I don't know.
No, but I'm just wondering because maybe we can get someone in that organization to push her to have a debate.
A sorority? Sororities don't do that kind of stuff. They don't do that. Just think about all the stuff that's happened across this country that has disenfranchised black people. And when have you seen sororities, and y'all can get mad at me if you want to, sororities and fraternities stand up and take a statement and make a statement? I mean, we've had murders. They don't do that. They don't get into that.
They better change their ways.
No, they don't do that. They will tell you, well, we're a service organization. But no, they don't do that. So you need to keep looking for a group. I was looking, you know what? I'm looking forward to that much more now, since you mentioned it, than I was James Craig and Gretchen Whitmer. That was going to be a good one. But Craig's not going to be on the ballot. But there's hope that there could be one. There's hope that there could be one.
I would like to see it.
All right. Hey, thanks for listening and hanging out with us this Sunday morning, okay?
All right. Thank you and have a great day.
Okay. For those who are holding, please stand by. John, you're up next.
It's a Kiss FM Summer of Soul. Pick your pair winning weekend. The Kiss FM Summer of Soul concert series continues. And this weekend, you get to pick your pair of tickets to one of our sizzling summer shows at Michigan Lottery Amphitheater. Want to go to the Kiss Block Party 4th of July weekend? Starring Drew Hill, Next, Tony, and Genuine. Or would you rather see the best of Bad Boy? August 21st with Lil' Kim, Mace, 112, and The Locks. You decide. Just listen at 20 after the hour for the keyword to text. Then text the word to 313-568-1059. Pick your pair. The Kiss Block Party. The best of Bad Boy. All part of the Kiss FM Summer Soul Concert Series. Powered by New Day Entertainment, Budweiser, and Detroit's Summer Soul Station. 105.9 Kiss FM.
Presented in part by the Juneteenth Family Health and Fun Day. Join.
You can say it, baby. You're headed out the door. It's all just a game. You just putting on the show. Ain't got a thing to tell me. I don't already know. You can tell the stories. I don't want to hear no more. I know that you ain't blind, but baby, you can't see. I got news for you, baby. You're still in love with me. I'm telling you the truth, baby. Ain't you heard the news? You're still in love. You're still in love. You're still in love with me. I got news for you, baby. I got news for you, baby. You're still in love. You're still in love. You're still in love with me. You're still in love. You're still in love. You're still in love with me. Say about a chicken and it's a one way out of town.
This is the Mildred Gaddis Show. The streets are talking.
Well, I got something to say.
The streets are talking, but y'all ain't listening.
What the streets talking about then?
The streets are talking, y'all, and Mildred is listening.
Welcome back to the Mildred Gaddis Show. We have these wonderful listeners. I just realized I kept trying to think of the League of Women's Voters name. It was escaping me for that moment, but that's the nonpartisan women's groups. They've been around for decades, well respected, and that group is the one I was talking about that probably would be able to get the two of these women to debate. The ministerial community, Kojic, they got a lot of members. And again, I stick by what I said. The members are loyal. They are. They are. You've got the Council of Baptist Pastors, which isn't as strong as it used to be back in the day. And I'm just being honest. That organization was quite powerful. And then something happened along the way. And some leaders decided they wanted to be a little wealthy. And it was so obvious to the people. And I've got a friend who said, no, she's not saying that. I know she's not saying that, Mildred, shut up. But they did. And so people no longer look at that entity the way they once did. Now, I understand there are efforts to change that, and that may very well be. But a lot has changed, but they do have churches as well. So, do you think that the two are going to sit down and debate? But let's hear what John has to say first. John, talk to me.
Hello, Gaddis. Maybe you can get a little talk in there and help them change it again. Gaddis, I have to do a reality check. I have to tell you, Rashid was too okay to a certain extent. But since she just did the Haitian people's and injustice and not speaking up for them, I lost a lot of confidence in her, Gaddis. I'll be honest with you, because she didn't speak nothing for the Haitian people. And that was a very disappointing service that I thought that she should have said something about the Haitian people.
Okay, so, here's my question for you. For you. Who is it in Congress from Michigan and or from the Congressional Black Caucus who did?
Yeah. Well,
I'm asking you. You brought it up because I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know all of them, Gaddis, but I take your word for it. That's a good question.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just speaking as a young person that is looking at Rashid to have a little more respect for her than I did. I used to do so forth. But Gaddis, okay, well, I hear you loud and clear. And the Black Caucus didn't do their job. I have to tell you, I think that you make a very good point. Now, I want to know why would these right-wing so-called fascists have a problem with Benny Thompson from Mississippi advocating the words that he spoke when he came on to address where he was from and what happened down there in his part of the territory. Now, you from Mississippi. I want to know why didn't the civil rights workers in NAACP go after them and so forth? But speaking lightly about Benny Thompson, talking about that guy, they didn't give his title. That guy, that black guy. That's what they were saying. That was on the white talk shows, the racist talk shows.
Well, that shouldn't excite you. I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise to you.
Be surprised?
Now, let me just tell you, I don't know Benny Thompson, and I really am not a Benny Thompson fan.
Okay.
I have friends people I love and respect who like him and they respect him. But you need to know that Benny Thompson didn't support the voting rights bill. The bill that was the voting rights bill, the John Lewis voting rights bill.
Exactly. I know that's right.
And he said it was because his constituents had some issues with some of the content of the bill. Now, that was problematic for me.
Yeah,
I think Benny Thompson, let me just tell you, as long as he's been in Congress.
Exactly.
Why haven't we heard from him?
Exactly.
Why haven't we heard from him on some of the most critical issues facing this country and facing our people? Now, you know, when you leave Congress or whatever, or you're there in Congress, there should be something that people should be able to remember.
Without a doubt.
Remember you as having done.
Good, bad, that's right.
Yeah, right, good, bad, or whatever. And I hear he's a good guy, and he may very well be. I don't know.
Well, I heard that too. That's what makes you.
The voting rights bill piece got me. I couldn't hear or see anything else past that. And that's not fair, but that was really. But I always questioned before that even happened. I would ask my friends when I go home, "What is this guy doing?" I never hear his.
I ask you about it. I know you knew something about it.
And they like him, and these are people I really love and respect, and I trust. And I guess I just don't know enough about him.
Okay. Well, that speak well. I think it's bad. So, but I hear you. But you got Sam Miller in the candidates, and you got Sherry McFarland in the candidates. Well, what do you think about them?
Well, Sam is hosting a news conference tomorrow.
Okay.
And in that news conference, based upon the press release, he is challenging the what he calls the animals who were killed and used by Sri Thanadar in Sri Thanadar's business.
Yeah.
And I saw Sharon McPhail a couple of months. We're in June now. I saw her. I saw her in April, and I saw her at the NAA. I had not seen her in years.
Whoa!
I saw her in the at the NAACP dinner. Dinner.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know what? Let me just tell you about the polls. I don't know. I'm very careful about embracing polls and even announcing polls until I'm able to look at the data. Okay. If you're going to tell me that anybody in that race is number one, show me what are the questions you asked
okay.
in that poll. Yeah. What are the questions that were asked, and what were the responses? Because here's what people are doing now. They're getting polls. Let's just say you get a phone call from a pollster.
Exactly.
And that pollster is asking you, do you know Mildred Gaddis? And you're going to say yes. That caller may also ask you, do you have a favorable or an unfavorable opinion of her? And you'll say, of course you'll say favorable. You might say you might say unfavorable. I'm joking there. You might say unfavorable.
Well,
You may be asked some other questions that are to my benefit simply because I'm paying the pollster. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you can
exactly.
you can and the numbers some of the responses may be bad, but you have a way to take that and take questions. Now, asking those two questions is different than saying, do you want to see her elected to Congress? Or would you vote for her to go to Congress? You see, those are separate questions. You may get a very high name identification response. Yes, I know her. okay? And let's just say all the other responses are negative. You will sit down and you will take those numbers and you can send a poll out saying that I came up number 1 simply because people knew my name. Do you see what I'm saying? Not that they thought I was Congress worthy, okay? Not that they thought anything else about me, but you can certainly say, compared to the other people you ask them questions about, I may have the highest name recognition there.
That's right.
Okay, but instead of sending a poll out saying most of the respondents recognized her name, you're not going to tell the people that. You're going to say she came up number 1. It doesn't mean I came up number 1. Those questions and those answers only mean that more people recognize my name. So tell us the rest of the questions you asked the people.
All right.
Okay? Because if you look at the rest of the questions, that could very well bring me to the very bottom.
Yeah, right.
Okay, asking if you know my name and whether or not you want to see me in Congress are 2 distinctly different questions.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So you got to be careful about who's paying for the poll. What the questions?
Always.
What the questions? What are the questions that were asked of the people, and how many people were asked those questions?
Canada said Canada. Well, I can't think his name, but he said he got $5 million to spend. So
who is that?
That's right.
Oh, Sri Tanadar.
Yeah.
He's got more than 5. Don't kid yourself. He's got more than 5.
Well, he said he got $5 million to spend right here on the candidates. I mean, in the elections. That's what he said of the week. So
listen, I look at Sri Tanadar in one sense the same way I look at Perry Johnson. They can spend. They have enough money to throw away if they choose to. They can finance their own camp. They can finance their own campaigns, and I guarantee you that Sri Tanadar will spend more than 5. If he says he'll spend 5, he'll spend more than 5, and he can. And that's listen.
I know.
And that's America.
Yeah.
There are people. Wouldn't it be nice to have enough money to finance your own campaign?
Absolutely.
And still have a lot left.
You won't have to beg everybody for money. That's right. I want to ask you one final question. I know you had great hopes in them life, which I do too, and I still think they should do what they're supposed to and have some backbone and spine. What do you think about the city council now? I mean, this Sheffield lady, she got no cojones and so forth. I want to get your knowledge about the city council and so forth. If they they're going to work with the taxpayer and help the taxpayer, or they out. That's what they take what Duggan bring to them and so forth. The garbage he put on the table.
You would ask me that, wouldn't you? Okay.
I would, Gaddis.
You ready for my answer?
Huh?
Okay.
I'm listening.
Here's my answer. I should have been cautiously optimistic about this council. Instead, I was optimistic. I should not have been. I should have been cautiously optimistic. I think that this council, like the previous council, have yet to realize that it is a separate entity. Separate branch of government. It is the legislative branch of government. And having said that, this council needs to establish itself as second branch of government.
I hope you get your
and understand, and they have a great chance to really reverse what's been going on. And it does not mean that this should be an adversarial council with the executive branch of government. I am not suggesting that. But what I'm saying is it needs to find its own way. And I don't think that's going to happen. Instead of running for headlines of the moment and saying you're with the people, you need to first do all that you can within your might to ensure that your actions are going to benefit the greater good of the city of Detroit. And of course, that would be the people. And I have not seen that. I've seen a couple of people get out there and appear to really be doing the work that is necessary. But I want to know, we've been talking about responsible contracting. Hasn't happened. You still have these men making $15 an hour, getting sick, tearing down these buildings. There no insurance, no health, no health benefits. $15, you can't support a family on that. And if you get sick, no insurance. What are you gonna do? You're gonna suffer. And I'm tired of resolutions. Resolutions aren't worth the paper they're written on. They're not they're not legally binding. If you really want to make a difference, introduce some ordinances that change the game, and it improves the quality of the lives of people in the city, thereby improving the city of Detroit. And I've not seen that. I'm hearing about in one district, they're working on recalling one of those council members. They've lost their way. Maybe they didn't have it in the beginning. I don't know. I was optimistic, but I'm real cautious about that optimism now. And I'd rather be remembered or known as a person who's going to fight for what's right, even if I'm standing alone. Some things you got to be willing to fight for because it's the right thing to do, and the issue is what it is. So the answer to your question is, I'm not feeling them these days. You're listening to The Mildred Gaddis Show.
It's a Kiss FM Summer of Soul. Pick your pair winning weekend. The Kiss FM Summer of Soul concert series continues. And this weekend, you get to pick your pair of tickets to one of our sizzling summer shows at Michigan Lottery Amphitheater. Want to go to the Kiss Block Party 4th of July weekend? Starring Drew Hill, Next, Tony, and Genuine. Or would you rather see the best of Bad Boy? August 21st with Lil' Kim, Mace, 112, and The Locks. You decide. Just listen at 20 after the hour for the keyword to text. Then text the word to 313-568-1059. Pick your pair. The Kiss Block Party. The best of Bad Boy. All part of the Kiss FM Summer Soul Concert Series. Powered by New Day Entertainment, Budweiser, and Detroit's Summer Soul Station. 105.9 Kiss FM.
Presented in part by the Juneteenth Family Health and Fun Day. Join 105.9 Kiss FM and Revival Tab Saturday, June 18th. All health services are free. Fun for the whole family on site. Pre-register at kissfmdetroit.com.
Streaming June 16th exclusively on BET Plus. Martin the Reunion, a BET Plus original special.
Martin the Reunion.
An event to celebrate.
I was in the moment. We were in the moment.
Freaking brilliant.
A legacy to cherish.
It's pure testament to our hard work.
A reunion to remember.
We would watch the show more than we would make music.
This show was and still is big for the culture.
Can there be a Martin reboot? I mean, the people want to know.
Martin the Reunion, streaming June 16th on BET Plus.
Detroit, the Backyard Butchers are here with 20 ribeyes for $39. Look for the big white truck in the parking lot today at 5 area locations. Stock up and save for Father's Day on bulk meat specials on beef, chicken, and seafood. Look for the big white truck in the parking lot right now at Southland Center near Best Buy, Fairlane Town Center near Macy's, in Monroe near Planet Fitness, Lakeside Mall near BJ's Brewhouse, and Briarwood Mall near Sears. Get 20 ribeye for $39 and more bulk meat deals. For all Michigan locations, go to backyardbutchers.com. Cash, credit, debit, and EBT accepted.
The following is a paid political announcement.
like they strike us all. If I'm just one, I'm gonna fall. We're trying to make us start again. Moving forward with my friends. We're better together. We're better together. We're better together. Ooh, yeah, we're better together. Oh, brick by brick, hand in hand, side by side. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Oh, brick by brick, hand in hand, side by side. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We're better together. We're better together. Yeah, we're better together. All for one and one for all. We're standing here, we're standing tall. When two of us is twice as easy. We can do anything we want, believe me. We're better together. We're better together. We're better together. Ooh, we're better together. Oh, brick by brick, hand in hand, side by side. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yeah, brick by brick, hand in hand, side by side. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We're better together. We're better together. We're better together. We're better together.
Tamari Kemet says that new city council member Angela Whitfield Calloway has demonstrated she will vote with integrity, even though that meant she had to stand alone. And she did stand alone on many votes. Thank you, Tamari. Richard Clement Jr. says, better together. Well, you know what? You remember I told you guys that we were going to start taking a more microscopic look at what's going on with City Council. And in about 2 weeks, we're in June now, the first Sunday in July, no, it'll be the second Sunday in July. The second Sunday in July, we're going to, I'm going to introduce you all to our Guardians of the Public Trust. And I'm excited. One of them, she's on Facebook all the time, and I mention her name. But you're going to enjoy that. They're going to be looking at what's happening politically, not only at Detroit City Council, but, there's some, you've got the Wayne County Commission nobody ever checks on to see what's going on over there. We've got some legislative stuff. So we're going to get a bit more aggressive in discussing these things that are going on. And certainly the discussions will be based on fact. And the other thing is they don't all think like I do, so that's going to make it even more exciting. And, you need people who have independent thoughts. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. And so when City Council gets into, are they open yet? I don't know. Are they? I don't think that they are. I don't think that they are still have. I don't think they've gone back in as everybody else does these days. And start letting people come in. But I'll certainly somebody's going to text me momentarily and say no or yes, and so we can share that with you. But we're going to really, start looking at this thing. I'm so sick of these doggone resolutions that don't go anywhere and don't do anything and do not change policy. Nobody's right all the time. The mayor's not right all the time. He's not wrong all the time. City council isn't right, nor is it wrong. But it must begin to establish itself with its own identification, But relationships are something. They're very, very powerful. And that gets in the way so often. But we're going to see. I'm so looking forward to July when we will begin to start doing that. I'm not sure if we're going to do it once a month, twice a month, or as needed. Probably more as needed because of, the nature of policies, of politics and of policy. There's a ton of money coming into the city of Detroit. How much of that will ethnic and women-owned businesses get? Those who have the skill set, who have the history of handling some of the assignments that must be adhered to in this process as Detroit gets all of this money. That's a legitimate question. We need to watch who gets the money. What are they doing with it? How many Detroiters are they putting on the job? And who's fighting for that? I've just been told that people can come. That's wonderful. Into City Council, there's limited seating, and there's overflow to the auditorium. So I'm hoping this is not what's been going on, because I had heard that the room was so small. Channel 4 was doing an interview with some folk over there, and they were complaining. So let's see. That's good. That's good to know. I'm glad when it opens up and people can go in and we can have some decent discussions and exchange of ideas pertaining to Detroit's business. That's good. Thank you so much, council member. Good to hear from you. Really good. So that's what we got in the hopper. What else do we have in the hopper? We're going to be doing, I got to tell you this, ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, this time. Hearts of Humanity. I got a call earlier this week. They're going to be giving a big community giveaway. Remember, you came in, ladies, you were able to get free purses, free undergarments, sports clothes, all kinds of things. Well, Hearts of Humanity we're going to be back at the same place at Wayne County Community College District's Northwest Campus. I should be able to tell you next Sunday what the date is, the date and time, but I got a call this week, and there's going to be even more things. She's emptying out her whole store, her whole warehouse, everything free. Yes, just want to let you know that. And so, Marcus, do we have anything else we want to share in terms of announcements? Not today, huh? Got some stuff we're going to be announcing real soon. And I promise you, Detroit, you're going to really like it.
You've been listening to The Streets Are Talking, exclusively on The Mildred Gaddis Show.
Listen, folks, I am just thrilled. I thank everybody for calling in and all of your posts on the Mildred Gaddis Show Facebook page. We thank you. Of course, you know I am most appreciative to everybody for hanging out with us on this Sunday morning. Of all the choices you have, I'm glad you choose the Mildred Gaddis Show. An hour-long broadcast of this show will be aired on our sister station, Praise Network, on Saturdays from 5 to 6 a.m., and on 105.9, this is 105.9, and on 105.1, The Bounce on Sunday mornings from 6 to 7 as we head into the station. You can always listen to the Mildred Gaddis Show podcast. Just text Mildred to the hotline number for the link to the podcast. Marcus D. Reed is the producer of the Mildred Gaddis Show. And as I say every Sunday as you head into this week, I encourage you to wake up with no regrets, love the ones who treat you right, and forgive the ones who don't. I'm Mildred Gaddis, and I'll see you on the radio.
Listen to Kiss on your Amazon device. Just ask Alexa to play 105.9 Kiss FM.
Okay. And jam to the most smooth R&B and old school